You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. This is your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, once more, we have an amazing independent creator. I met my homie over here at the Heroic Awards over at C2E2 this year, man. Let me tell you, this man right here is an award-winning comic book writer. All right, I mean, books like Seasons, Lifeline, the Fabled Offering, The Ink Runs Cold. Winner. I mean, let me tell you, he's a YouTuber, a drummer, reader, and a man that is making his dreams come true with a fire project that's live right now. Let me tell you, this project called Man Child is fire. We only got 2 hours to go. My man is about to give you the pitch, the spiel, the whole story. This is what it is. Let me introduce the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, my boy, Mr. Nandor Fox Shaffer. What's popping, homie? How you doing?
Hey, Al, man, it's so great. That's probably the best intro I've ever had on any podcast. So thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Repeating this. Thank you. I love all my guests. Every time they come on, like that fucking intro. Yes, thank you. I'm the intro maker. Let's go, baby. And I do it live, baby, off the cuff, right off the top. Because
I noticed that
room energy. Let's go.
Yeah, well, and I noticed that when like behind the scenes when we were working on the Heroic Awards, and you were working with your collaborators there and trying to figure out like how to announce things and introduce people and things like that. Like everything was so improvised, but like you did it so professionally and so well. I was like, man, how does this guy do this? I'm like, I have to script everything out. You know what I mean? So it's like getting it down. There's definitely a talent there that you have.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just the energy. I bounce off the energy that is given to me, and then when I absorb it, and it's just let's go. Again, you tell me just a couple of things. All I need to know, and I got you. But bro, let me tell you before we even get started, folks. This book, Man Child, it is so much fun, yo. The reason why he did this, the dedication, the flow of the story, the nerddom behind it. Oh fuck, bro! I was enjoying the shit out of this book, Nandor. I think you did a wonderful job. Your collaborators, your team. Shit, bringing that retro style look. I mean, folks, I can't wait to show you guys what Nandor did. But let's reel it back so you can know who Nandor is, most importantly. So let's go, baby. Origin story, Nandor. Where are you originally from? And the most important question that you ever hear in your life, Nandor, what was the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with? The very first.
Yeah. No, those are great questions. So I'm, and I still live here in Missouri. So I'm from, the Midwest.
Missouri?
Yeah, Missouri, or misery, as some people say. Yeah.
That's sad over there. The hometown indeed, though.
Yeah, it's a sad place, right? But the show me state, which I was thinking about that recently, and I was like, comics are all about showing, not telling, and so I kind of want to like take the show me state moniker and like use it for comics. It's like we're gonna show you some cool stuff here in Missouri. So that's my my new lease on life, is trying to do that, and it's always great when I find other Missouri creators, because there's some out there that are pretty prominent. Like James Gunn was from St. Louis. And you have like Jim Lee from St. Louis and other great, creators and writers and stuff. But so I'm in good company there. But I grew up, born and raised in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is the capital of the state. And then I recently moved to Columbia. So people who love, I don't know, college football, like Mizzou Tigers and Mizzou and all that stuff. Hurrah, hurrah! But I'm not much of a sports guy. But in any case, I grew up here, and I started making comics when I was like 17 or 18 years old.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to be a writer, but so I've been doing that for like 7-8 years now. And really my origin story for fandom, like what like
the very first thing, the
very
first thing that
first.
tickled your fancy ever that you said, "Oh my God, I need this
Yeah.
more of this in my life."
Yeah. So I think, like thinking really early back on the thing that really captured me, or got me into, I don't know, took me on a ride that I'm still a big fan of. I think it would originally be watching um the original Star Wars movies, but not just, honestly, it wasn't just like the originals, but like the prequels too, because I'm a prequels kid. Like I
Okay.
grew up. I was born in 1997. The Phantom Menace came out in
Hey,
1999,
thanks for making me feel old. I appreciate it, man.
and yeah, and then Attack of the Clones was 2002, Revenge of the Sith was 2005. So like my fandom for Star Wars, what really got me into Star Wars, it really was the prequel trilogy. Like that was huge for me. And because I remember going to the movie theater to see those movies, and then I remember being at home and watching the original trilogy. So all of it was like one thing to me. It all felt like one big story and one exciting, saga or epic that I could enjoy. And, that was something that my dad shared with me. That was something that I would share with I have an older brother, and we would, share in that. And, I loved the action figures. I would always, want to get, like, a Luke Skywalker action figure, an Obi-Wan Kenobi, toy at the store. Like Star Wars toys were huge for me too. Like they did such a great job at merchandising all that stuff. Like it
Yeah,
was,
man, I get you hooked, right? Hooked
yeah,
me like
like
a fish, man.
your lunchbox, your bed sheets, your curtains,
Right.
just anything, like anything Star Wars that you could find. So it was really like the Jedi, and getting lost in like the philosophy of the Force and what that is. And that's
That's
something
what I
that the
first
prequel
got.
trilogy really like brought out for me. And like seeing the Clone Wars, and seeing like how all this, all these Jedi fighting, and the Sith and all that stuff was so like uh the basic like fundamental light versus dark, and the light side versus the dark side. And learning kind of like morality, and learning like what that is, like being selfless, and like wanting to put others first before you, whereas Sith and then the dark side is all about yourself and power, and all of
Well,
that.
not
So
all villains. Well, I want to say that not all villains are about themselves, because sometimes they become villains because of mistreatment towards their community, but they're sometimes
yeah.
labeled as villains because just how well they react in a messed up way. But not. I don't think that all villains are truly villains. Sometimes they just get.
Yeah, well, and I think I remember at the time, there's a huge discussion about and fraction within the Star Wars community, especially at the time when the prequels were coming out. And they were, George Lucas was exploring Anakin Skywalker, and like what led Anakin to become Darth Vader. And I remember at the time, so many people were upset with the characterization, because in their head, their idea of Darth Vader was he was like always this menacing, truly awful, warrior. This guy that would just like destroy everyone. And Anakin humanized him, right? And like he was very emotional and very unstable as a character. But that was something about Anakin's journey into Darth Vader that I thought was really, tragic. It's a tragedy, right? So like you see someone who um, has all the best of intentions, wants to save his wife, wants to save his baby, wants to save his mom, and he's losing all of this. But he doesn't realize that by his own actions, he's losing all of this. And that was like such a, for me, such a compelling idea for a villain and a character, because like when you lose everything that you tried to save, why would you fight for anything else? Like your world and the
Bro,
people that you love the most are gone. So
preach,
that was
baby,
something.
preach. That's
Yeah,
the
that
Al
was
Mills
something
story right there. That is the Al
that.
Mills story right there. Losing everything I've loved recently. Let me tell you. But you know what? Am I really still doing good? I'm not fucking around. But sometimes, you know,
yeah, you're not Darth Vader yet. You know, you're not killing younglings. You know, in the Jedi Temple.
When the aliens come, I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. You know.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Nandor, where you at again? Because I'm gonna have to go pick you up in Missouri. Then, you know, I need your address. So, you know, that way we can battle the aliens when they get here. All right. So, in your fandom, growing up in your town, did you have a wolf pack, if you will, or were you kind of a lone wolf? You know, in your geekdom in your town.
Yeah.
How was geekdom accepted where you grew up?
Yeah. I gotta say, I definitely feel like I lived in a bubble when it comes to you know, being a fan and fandom. You know, thankfully my older brother, he and I were such huge nerds, and we really we had our I would say, like, I wasn't a lone wolf, but like I was, you know, like we were you know, together like all the time, and we really.
How much older is your older brother?
Yeah, he's about 2 years older. You know, two and a half years older.
Oh, that's close. I mean, with my middle brother, it's 9 years, and then my baby brother is 15 years.
Oh goodness, yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. So, but you know what's funny? I influenced their fandom so much.
Really? Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So, yeah, you know, one is a horror and comic fanatic. The other guy is a fucking toy and fashion fanatic. Because I was a fanatic of everything growing up in my time. You know, I was a New Yorker. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was clothes, it was comics, I didn't give a fuck. I had to try with my geekdom, and we were all proud of it. You know, wearing our fucking t-shirts or looking good in our swag. Like, we ain't give a shit, Nandor. It was so awesome. Different. So at least I was lucky. That's why I always ask that question. Like, how many people were as lucky as I? You know, big shout out to my boy Hans and Mikey B and all these folks that Chino. Like, you know, these are folks I grew up with, like in the geekdom. We were trying to make our own comics back then.
Yeah.
And I really wish that we had Kickstarters and shit like that than the internet, because I think that Omega
would have happened. Yeah. No, totally. Like I, you know, I can only imagine how many people out there, you know, have been able to realize their dream now because of the internet, because of crowdfunding and indie comics, you know, and how many people, you know, pre-internet, you know, really struggled to get their stuff seen, you know, and there's probably so many amazing artists and so many amazing writers that, you know, weren't able to go to conventions or weren't able to meet with people and network and do those things because of, you know, whatever reason, but they probably were pretty amazing. You know, and like I always think that, like, I think some of the best writers and artists in the world today aren't, you know, they're not always the ones that are recognized, you know, and that's something. Yeah, that's something.
It's something, but you know what? It's okay, because their time will come when you just keep doing, you know, put in the work, everybody.
Yeah.
Just put in the work. Don't worry about the recognition right now.
Yeah.
Put out the work. Get that shit done. When people start finding you, the recognition follows, the fame follows, everything else follows. But just stay positive and manifest what you want through positive speak and good inner voice. That's just
and even when that recognition comes, don't lose sight of the work. Be humble. You know, you like that's something that I've noticed. It's like you know, even though people know more about me and have read my work and stuff and are interested in it, it's like it's important that you the next thing you work on, that you have a next thing that you're working on, you know, and that you're not always riding the coattails of, you know, the book that I just came out with or the book that came out, you know, 5 years ago or whatever. And you know, but I understand there's some people too who may be so popular and they're like, man, I don't know, like, if I can ever top, you know, like what I did before.
I don't think that anyone that does that should worry about that. Just do the work. Listen, you had a hit, great. It resonated. Don't even worry about it. Just do your next story.
Like, that's the thing. You can't worry about what other people think, because when you were making that first thing, you weren't. You know, you were just like, I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. You know, I'm not making any money off this, but I just love it and I want to do this. And So I think you kind of have to keep that creator mindset through all the different stages that you have, because that's what got you there in the first place, you know. So if you shake up that formula, you're going to mess up your work, you know, you're going to mess up the creativity, because then you're going to be like, oh, well, you know, they're expecting this, or, you know, whatever. And then you're no longer creating, you know, for yourself, or doing your best work, because, you know, you're worried about what other people think, and that can really get in the way of the process. So that's something that I've thought of. But I guess going back to your original question, you know, like with my brother, you know, we shared so much, and, you know, we were watching Star Wars together. We were watching the same Raimi Spider-Man trilogy and the original X-Men films, you know, in the early 2000s. Like those were huge for us, and those were really our introduction into superheroes and comics, and you know, the original X-Men 97 show, you know, and the original animated series, the Spider-Man series, and things like that. So you know, while I didn't have a ragtag group of people that I was with, he and I would always you know, play with our superhero characters, and we would like figure out different storylines, and we would do our own like fantasy, kind of like fantasy football, but fantasy like comics, where we would like put certain creators on certain comics, you know, like, oh, what if this artist did that, or this writer, you know, and this artist teamed up and they were working on this character. So that was really, you know, we really bonded over all of these things. And to this day, you know, we love going to see, you know, all the movies together, and we love talking about these things. So it's been a lifelong, that's the thing. Like once you get into something and you become a fan of something, and you know so much about the world, you know, it just becomes this lifelong, you know, obsession, and it, you know, it's ever entertaining and ever evolving, and it's really exciting. And I think a lot of people find that even if when they have kids, you know, they get all of that reinvigorated, because they get to see like what kids, you know, love, and oh, like if your kid loves Spider-Man, and you know, and dad loves Spider-Man, or mom loves Spider-Man, it's like, goodness gracious, you know, like this is going to be a forever thing. And that's
my kid love different things than me, I'll tell you that much.
Oh really?
Yeah, everything I love, but loves way different things. But only, at least now she's getting into horror, you know.
Oh nice.
Yeah, and she's getting older, so thank God finally. I've been wanting to show her horror since she was my when I got introduced to horror, I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I wasn't introduced to then, but my ex-wife was like, "No, you're not going to do that to our kid." I'm like, "Why? I'm fine."
Yeah, like nothing's wrong with me. Yeah.
Well, now she's falling in love with movies, and I gave her a whole list, and she laughed at me like, "You're crazy! Like, please just do this." And I said, right.
Yeah.
I'm getting good reviews of what I've already offered. So yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. Yeah. No.
Listen to us. All right, when we tell you what to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. My girlfriend, you know, like I'm very much you know, absorbed in fandom, and she not as much. And so whenever I've tried to introduce, you know, like certain movies or certain things that I think are really great, you know, it's been a hit most of the time, because, you know, I have good taste, right? Like you hope that you have good taste, and you hope that comes off when you recommend something. It's always really scary when you recommend you know, a movie or a book or something that you really love, because you want that person to love it too. And if they don't love it, you're like, oh, you know, like you. Like,
I'll get pissed. Like,
you get so upset, right?
I love Reanimator. Like, if you don't love Reanimator, and you tell me, you come back to me telling me you don't love Reanimator, we get into a fight.
Yeah.
Like, nuts. You know how dope that movie is? That shit is so much fun and wild. It's so out there. H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. Very racist, but I'm just saying that goddamn story.
Yeah, no. Shit. I mean, good literature, good art, good stories is, you know, they last so long, and they're evergreen.
So, Nando, we need to know here. So when you know, before we get into the book, you know, when did you start getting creative? When did the itch start and taking those first steps?
So I started like being interested in writing in general when I was like 13, like, and I really liked uh, formulating my ideas into words. Like that was something that I enjoyed doing because I didn't really feel like I was good at articulating them, by speaking, right? And so like I was really heavily into the video game scene, into like video game journalism, and really excited about new games coming out. And so like I was a part of this community, Game Informer, which just recently this year, GameStop owned Game Informer, and they just shut it down, which was really sad for me because
They
I
just let it down?
yeah, they just shut GameInformer.com, and Game Informer magazine is no longer
Oh,
no
wow.
no longer exists anymore. And they were one of the premier video game journalism
Yes,
companies.
I
And
agree.
so I was heavily involved in the blogging community when I was younger. I mean, I would always like comment on other people's blogs, and I would write my own, and I had like my own ideas, or I would write.
Wait. Talk to me there on that. Like
Yeah.
years, because I want people to understand that. So you have your blogging communities, and blogging is internet years. Internet is still a young person, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
that would have,
when were
yeah,
you into blogging? Like what? How many years was the internet operating when you started like fucking around and getting into it yourself?
yeah. So that would have been around like 2010 to like or 2011.
Okay,
And that
early. Okay, early.
yeah, yeah. So I would have been around 13 or 14
Oh
at the
wow.
time. And no one knew. I was anonymous, right? So like no one knew I was this young, but I was
That man was being
commenting.
better.
Yeah, yeah. I was messing with people, and being a teenager online, right? But at the same
I love it.
time,
Teenager equals douche, folks. For those that don't understand.
no, I tried to be polite as much as possible, and I
As
really
much as
did.
possible. I love that. That's political rhetoric. I love it.
Yeah, as much as they were polite to me, right?
I'm only playing with you now.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it though. I
So
know. Again, listen. I was not a blogger, but I was messing around and
like forums and stuff.
forums and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I mean, I didn't go by Omega then, but I was. I'll admit, I was a dick.
Yeah, no, I was kind of like very I had strong opinions on different video games, and different ideas on you know this developer and this company and blah blah blah, and my I brought a lot of I did a lot of growing in those years, because I really started. That's when I started to realize what it's like having conversations or arguments on the internet, and how most of the time they don't really go anywhere,
Yeah,
and that's something that I feel like a lot of people, either one, they never learn, or they just don't know when to stop. And like as a teenager, when I was 13 or 14, I ran into that a lot, where I didn't know when to stop, and I kept arguing, and I kept like you know trying to make my case, and it just it never really ended up with the result that I wanted, right? Yeah, so yeah, like and GameInformer.com, they had this uh weekly release where um the community, or the moderators of the website would pick their favorite blogs of the week, and they would post those out, and people would read them. And it was a pretty engaging like community. Like it was healthy, it was good. There's a lot of people who were a part of it, and I would write blogs on whatever, on a certain video game or a certain idea that I had about a story for that video game, and my blogs started to get chosen pretty regularly. And that was something that I enjoyed writing about, and also I wanted that recognition, because I felt like my blogs were well articulated, and my the photos that I used, the images that I used were good. And so at that young age, I realized how much I enjoyed writing, and I enjoyed articulating my ideas and my thoughts. But at a certain point, I got tired of writing about other people's things, other people's stories, I got tired of the journalism aspect of it, because that's originally I wanted to be that. I kind of wanted to be like a journalist or someone who would like report on things and you know, have opinions on things. But the creative itch, you know, really was stronger, and I started to think about, you know, stories and being so obsessed with novels or movies or video games. And you know, some of my favorite video games had like amazing stories that I really loved, like the Uncharted series, or you know, Dead Space. Like, it's a great horror game that I really loved. And the Resident Evil series, you know, I love that series too. So you know, I enjoyed these characters, and I enjoyed the stories that were being told, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to see, like, okay, if I were to write a story, if I were to make a story, what kind of story would that be? What could I do? What kind of medium would that be? You know, video games, movies, comics, and comics just like stood out to me. Like, it was like the obvious choice for me, because I grew up reading comics, and I love these characters, and I love superhero storytelling in particular. And that, you know, from 13 to like 15 to 16, I was, you know, blogging and doing things like that. And then when I turned 17, 18, when I had finished high school, you know, I had that period in between high school and college where I was like, what do I want to do? You know, like if I were to go to college, like, what would my degree be? You know, what would I major in? Things like that. And so I majored in creative writing, because that's what I was interested in learning about, what I was interested in pursuing. But at the same time, I knew how much of an uphill battle that was. I knew, like, how creative writing wasn't a sure thing, you know, out of college. Like, and just because you have a degree, it doesn't mean you'll get a job, and it doesn't mean that you'll be able to perform well. It does help, but at the same time, when I was in college, pursuing my creative writing degree, I was working on seasons. I was writing seasons at that time when I was 18, 19 years old. And so I had finished the first volume, writing the first volume, and I really loved it. I was really proud of it. And I thought I did a pretty good job with it. And then when I started working with Anthony Gonzalez Clark, the artist of the book, I found him, and we were working on the book together, and we were finishing pages, and things were really rolling. I decided to stop pursuing college, and I wanted to pursue comics.
And so you dropped?
Yeah, I dropped. I'm a college dropout. And so,
hey, looking like Kanye West and shit right now.
Yeah, so I've always had this kind of itch to like go back and finish my degree, because I had a couple, you know, it's like a couple more years to finish. But it was at a time where I remember specifically being in my English class, one of my English classes, and talking with my professor, and I was turning in my essays, and every first draft that I turned in, she was like, this is an A, like, this is an A+, like, you got it, like you know what you're doing. And I saw that encouragement as a way for me to go, okay, if I know what I'm doing, and I'm getting these grades, and I'm performing very well at this capacity, I'm sure that I could use the money that I'd be spending on college. I could use it for my own comics, you know, that I could pay for art, and I could pay for, you know, making my own business and doing these things. And so I decided, you know, like, I knew what I wanted to do. And a lot of people who go to college, they're still figuring that out and what they want to do. And with writing in particular, and the internet and crowdfunding, I felt like everything I needed was right there in front of me, and I didn't want to waste any time putting it off. I wanted to go now. You know, I wanted to pursue making comics and writing comics and putting my stuff out there, you know, as soon as possible. So that's kind of the long-winded answer of how it all started.
Gotcha. Now, you stepped into comics. You won a couple of awards. You're doing your thing, man. Like, how was that when you stepped in, and like you started getting that recognition before we step into what's going live right now?
Yeah. So, I was in 2021, my graphic novel Lifeline, it won the Indie Volt Comic Award. It won 2 awards for Best Writer and best comic of the year.
Oh, wow.
And that was my second book that I'd ever put out, ever written. And so that was huge for me. That was like a really big deal. I was so excited about that. You know, they had about, I think, 10 to 12 judges that were all indie comic book creators and makers, and artists and writers. And, you know, they all voted. And, you know, I was like so humbled and honored about, you know, for that. And I'm really proud of that book. Lifeline was the book. And then with that, and then just recently, my story got chosen to be published, and This Ink's Runs Cold, which is being put together by Scott Morse, who works at Pixar, or worked at Pixar. And he
look at. Well, let me get my broom because you're dropping names now. Holy shit. What's going on here, baby?
Yeah, so Scott Morse is an amazing cartoonist, and he's worked on movies like WALL-E and other Pixar films. And I think all the art and images and the credits of WALL-E, Scott Morse did all of that. So
wait, how did this all? Wait a minute, before we get into this man-child, folks.
Yeah,
I gotta hear this story. I mean, I'm proud of my homie. You gotta understand when I want to tell you guys just a little bit. When I met Nandor, this man incredibly helpful in Heroic Awards. He was there to like support the Heroic Awards on such a level, helping us in any which way he could. I mean, he almost got banned with me at the show because we were hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the man right here. So, you know, I just want to say first off, like, you know, appreciate you, kiddo. And just hearing this, like, wow, you blew my fucking mind. So, like, tell me how this all happened.
Yeah, so Scott Morse put out a call to writers, you know, anyone who wanted to submit a story to this project that he was drawing and working on. And you had to submit a one-page story, one-page comic book story to him. And I think he got over like 150 or 250 submissions. And he chose out of those, I think about like 10 to 15 different people. And my story, it was a part of that, you know, it got chosen as a part of that. And it's going to be published by the Alan Spiegel Fine Arts Association. They're going to be putting it out. And there's also going to be like, I think, an Italian edition or international like edition that they're going to be putting out. Yeah, so I'll be international, you know. So that'll be.
Listen, Arnold said it. Listen, Arnold Schwarzenegger said that. Look, you could be famous, but if you ain't international, you're not famous. And that's it. Nandor is crossing the spectrum, baby. You big boss level right now.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. That'll be published early next year, and it'll have people like Brian Michael Bendis, Bill Sienkiewicz, the showrunner of House of Dragon is writing a story in there. And there's going to be a lot of amazing talent, and a lot of amazing Marvel and DC writers and artists that are a part of the book. So
so proud of you coming from the indie world. Like you step into this.
Yeah, like it's really it's surreal. It's really surreal, and I'm hoping you know, when the book comes out, you know, it's going to be a beautiful hardcover edition that they're going to put out, and you know,
whenever some soft porn. That's like,
I'll put it right.
I see your collection, folks. Don't you see? This man is not just a creator. I mean, look at his collection behind him. I see boxes. I see
books. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, I love. Look, you see my shit behind me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, we know what it's like.
We know what it is to spend a lot of money and shit.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because like people will come into my office here and they'll be like, "Man, how did you afford all this?" And I'm like, it's been over, you know, like 15 years, right?
Yeah,
like
it came out, so it was
like it accumulates, and like you just, you know.
One, two. I got 7 boxes of Spawn comics right now, minis that I'm about to start selling. That's the whole collection.
Wow, that's awesome.
I think I'm gonna sell it because I have big plans for the future. You know, for Comic Crusaders and myself, and
yeah,
it's time. Thank you for the stories, but it's time for me to let go this portion of my collection, so that way, Comic Crusaders, if anyone's interested, just there's an eBay, but we could negotiate.
That's right.
Especially if you pick up, we could really negotiate. But I'll definitely deliver within the tri-state area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So Nando, let's get into it. I'm gonna bring this baby up to the stage right now. So before we even actually get into it, first of all, look at that. Jeez, that shit look dope. Oh my god, folks. So first off, with 100 minutes to go at this point in time, we have 117 backers. So a salute to you guys. Thank you so much for supporting independent comics, my big homie. Out of a $4,500 goal, my man is at 45.65, baby. Come on, by the end of this show, let's get him to at least 48. Please, come on, guys. I know you're watching. Make it happen, and I'm gonna give you a reason to make it happen. We're about to see this video, and then Nando's gonna tell you everything about this book. We're gonna go through this Kickstarter, and again, Christmas is coming. So for you folks that are watching that have comic book fans in your life, this might be the most amazing present to put in that stocking. Check it out.
I'm Nandor Fox Shaffer, the head of Foxhole Comics, and welcome to the world of Man-Child. Man-Child is a commentary on comic book fandom that is one part Silver Age-inspired superhero adventure following the exploits of the Monarch Crier, and one part slice-of-life dramedy following super nerd Rufus Boston in an alternating narrative. This Kickstarter campaign is to raise funds for the production of issue 3 of the 6-part limited series, and in this installment, we are introducing the Sadistic Six, all new villains within the Man-Child universe, while also spending a day with Rufus at Uncle Chester's comic shop on an unexpectedly busy new comic book day. We've successfully funded the first 2 issues, and both are available during this campaign, so you can jump into the series straight away. We're offering a limited edition variant covered by the Winter Soldier co-creator Steve Epting, as well as our first ever collector's gatefold cover, plus many more reward options. Man-Child offers everything a superhero comic fan could want, and everything you didn't know you wanted. Embrace your inner Man-Child and back this book today.
There you go, folks. Embrace your inner man-child, or woman-child, or whatever child you got within you. And this is what is fire. Let me tell you, Nando, that as I told you in the green room, I read issues 1 and 2. Holy shit. I love how you were splitting the story. So I was, retro, modern, fun, action, laughing, humor. Like, bro, you are fucking killing it. You and your team are killing this. But folks, that link is right there. It's also in the show notes. So make sure you click it, and support the campaign today. So I gotta ask you, what inspired you to begin this Man-Child series, and how has that vision evolved with every new issue now that we're at issue number 3?
Yeah, so Man-Child all started, it's kind of a sad story, but hopefully like bittersweet in a way, because this whole idea for the story really came about through like a grieving process of Stan Lee passing away. For me personally, I was really upset and grieved, and like it felt like the world had lost a giant. And it did.
It did lose a giant.
Yeah, it did. It
did.
It
didn't feel like we did lose.
Yeah, we did. And I
guess salute to Stan Lee right now. God bless.
Yes, that's right.
No matter what people may think of him, he was still such a huge persona for what comic books were, that even those that are not fans of comic books know who Stan Lee is.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stan, like for bringing out nerddom and making it cool.
Exactly. He really brought it to the masses in a way that had never been done before, and he was the hype man, the showman of comics, and making comics a part of our everyday lives, and how we we see Spider-Man everywhere, and we see all these characters everywhere now. and it was because of what Stan Lee was able to accomplish. And
Spider-Man, fucking Hulk, everything. I mean,
yeah, Giant Man, Ant-Man, like Fantastic Four. I mean, there's so many characters that he and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, they all created together, and they're just like.
You mean Steve Ditto?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I was catching all these references in this book, and what an homage, bro!
Oh, thank you.
Homage. That's what I'm saying. Like, as a comic book fan,
yeah,
understanding the names behind the wonderful creations and how you're having fun with this. Yo, Nandor, I think you have probably one of the most special projects of the year, because this is fucking cool. I really, really dug it. The way you dig into old school books.
Yeah.
Kind of, funnily for those that just know, you have wordplay here, but you know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
In a way. And just the feel and the split, Pulp Fiction-ish, because we're going between like a film or comic book, and then we go through real slice of life things that nerds experience.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that I laughed several times.
That makes me happy.
Every crew had that homie.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, you grew up in Missouri, but if you please tell me this was inspired by somebody. Tell me about just the whole inspiration. Honestly, God, is anything inspired by maybe your crew growing up or something? Like, what's going on here? Like,
like growing up, it was mostly my brother and I. But when I hit, when I got out of high school and I started going out on my own, making friends and meeting people, and being more a part of a community of nerddom, whether that was meeting people at the comic book store or at different conventions.
Listen, I have met comic book people at weddings. Like we were at different tables for a minute, not talking to nobody, and all of a sudden, hey, what up? Introduce, hey, what up? And then, hey, we start just talking about things. Have you ever watched this movie? Then we get into wait a minute.
Yeah.
You do this? Do you do that? Hey!
You're one of you're my tribe. Yeah. Like where have you been? And so like I've experienced all of that, and I definitely for a large chunk of time, the last, I'd probably say 5 to 7 years, I've had a tight knit group of fans and friends that we'll go to movies together, or we'll talk about the new issue of something that just came out. And so a lot of and even in issue 2, there's an experience where the friends have their one friend, Brett, who isn't a part of their group anymore. He has a wife now, or a kid now, and he's kind of outgrown the friend group, which happens. You have people that do that, and they're sad about that. And I've had those experiences where when you share something with someone, and then either they move, or they get a girlfriend or a partner or whatever, and they're kind of like not a part of the group anymore, and you feel like you've lost that. You feel like you've lost your friend, or you've lost that connection where you could talk about those things with people. And so a lot of what like Rufus and his friend group experience, these are all conversations that I've had, or that I know, that are very relatable and reasonable for other people to have and experience. And it's just such a big part. I'm glad that you see it and you appreciate it, because there's a lot of kind of inside baseball happening within the comic about, like, if you're really not a part of comic book nerddom, you really don't understand the kind of language and the things that we talk about, how we speak. And
I was laughing so much because there was just some shit, and the way that you were playing around with the friendship and what happened to homie and how he came up. Like, I didn't talk about it.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like, yo,
Yeah, or like when the movie ends.
All I want to say is
and
brought me back. You brought me
yeah,
back to my childhood a lot. You know, I'm a
yeah,
41-year-old man, but when my homie driving and we picking up one of my homies because they just had that experience.
yeah,
And he
right,
asking
right.
questions, they're like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you have that experience where you're with your friends, and like in issue 2 where they're at the movie theater and they're watching the superhero film, and the movie ends and everyone loves it. You know, like everyone's like, "Oh, this was so amazing." Everyone's like clapping and they're excited, and they're the only group that's, you know, they're kind of seated in their seats and they're like, "What was this? Like this was awful." You know, and like you have those experiences where it feels like only you get it, right? Or like only you and your friend group get it and they understand it, and you know they have that connection to something. And you know, I mean, Rufus experiences a lot of the grief that I experienced in issue 1 with, you know, Stu Leeds or Stan Lee, you know, in this world passing away. And you know, they share a drink in the comic book store and they're grieving over him, but at the same time you have that one character, Tanner, who comes in. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he wasn't, you know, this guy, he was a, you know, a douchebag, like he stole all the ideas."
I don't give a shit, you know, whatever stories you may have, he was still a front man, and you don't fuck with the front man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the lead singer in a band, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, without him, regardless of what you may feel, you know, yeah, maybe the things that we all know. But you know what? Timing is everything.
It is. Timing is everything. And you know, without Stan Lee, I don't think any of these ideas, any of these characters would have become what they became, you know, and that's not taking any credit away from the other
anyone else
collaborators, but it just we wouldn't be, I don't think we'd be talking about it now. I don't think, you know, all of these characters would be a part of our everyday conversation.
You're right.
You know,
Right. Stan Lee, who he was, you know, and you know, he did what he did. But as you said, like without him being that salesman, that's the whole thing. Unfortunately, a lot of our artists are now writers and our inkers and colorists and our fighters. They're shy,
right? They're introverted. Yeah, they're very they're kept. They want to stay at the drawing table. You know, they don't want to have the TV interviews. You know, they don't want to
sell your books, right? So this is have someone like Stan Lee that's not afraid, that don't give a fuck, and like, I'll be in your face. I'm gonna sell every goddamn book you got. Let's go right now, baby. Like, we see this book, because I mean, look at this
started. He started so young. You know, he was like 18 or 19 years old when he was working in the Marvel offices, and he was, you know, working on multiple books, and he was, you know, the Marvel method of giving the artist a story, you know, writing out like a paragraph or two of what the issue was, because he was working on so many different books. It's like he didn't have the time or the energy to like script out every piece of dialogue, everything beforehand. He would go in afterwards and put in the dialogue, you know, after the pages came through, because it was this kind of thankless machine, you know, at the time where comics were very much, you know, throwaway entertainment. And, you know, I read in prepping for writing this story in this book, I read multiple biographies on Stan Lee, and I read like the Marvel Comics, The Untold Story, which is a fascinating book about like the origins of Marvel and how everything came to be, and a lot of the different editorial changes over the years. And so I really wanted to kind of get in the headspace of what it was like to be a Marvel writer at that time, and you know, kind of capture that lightning in the bottle that, you know, Stan Lee and his collaborators, you know, all worked on to try to manage. Because you know, with this comic and the story, not only is it kind of a trip down, you know, memory lane or you know, a nostalgia book, it's balancing how comics have changed over the years and how fandom has changed over the years and characters have changed and all of that. So like it's bringing the reader through this journey of showing like where we started, and where we are, where we started, where we are, you know,
And
as you
isn't it
go
crazy?
back and forth.
What a difference, and you definitely deliver that punch really hard as well. To see those differences, you know, how lighthearted to the dark that has become.
Yeah,
And
right.
even in the fandom is like, you know, things that happen when we lose that creator. Like, I love the reaction, the way you had that very sentimental moment in the book. You know what I mean? When you just dropped the phone. I mean,
Yeah.
artists did a great job of, you know, selling the sentiment of the loss. But can first of all, we know we gotta sell this project right now, baby. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
a few minutes left. You know, I gotta make sure people are aware that this project only has a few hours left, minutes even, minutes. And I need you guys to support this. This is indie comics, baby. Talk to me about this cover right here, because let me tell you, this is so dope. The
Yeah. So this
coloring, the
is,
artistry, this is like fuck, bro. Like who did this? First of all, how did you find this artist? And when you saw this, how did you feel?
oh my goodness, Al. So this cover is done by Steve Epting, the legendary Steve Epting. He is
What?
the co-creator of Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Holy shit, bro.
He worked on Captain America with Ed Brubaker, you know, during the Winter Soldier saga and the death of Captain America and Civil War and all of that stuff. And he also worked on Velvet with Ed Brubaker and Image Comics. He worked with Jonathan Hickman on Fantastic Four and on the Avengers and New Avengers storylines over the past few years. So he's my all-time favorite comic book artist. This is a dream come true for me. This is someone who I've always wanted to work with, and I never thought I'd be able to, being indie. You know, I thought, okay, maybe whenever I hit mainstream, like, you know, I'll be able to work with him, right? But this was kind of a very serendipitous, you know, the planets aligned type of situation where it was a shot in the dark, and I sent him the PDFs and I sent him the character designs, and I basically pitched the book to him. And he loved it. He really loved the idea of the story, and he loved the character designs and everything. So, you know, and he was very generous with his time. He was like in between contracts, and so like there was nothing holding him back, and he really wanted to work on it. You know, so it was just like so perfect, and it's a dream come true for me. I mean, like Steve Epting is my favorite comic book artist, and like the Captain America run that he worked on with Ed Brubaker is what got me into comics. Like that's what made me a comic book reader. Yeah,
I've always listen. My Captain America guy was Mike Grunwald.
Yeah.
What got me into Captain America was the Scourge run. If you remember Scourge.
Yes. Yeah.
So that whole run, I have it in issue format.
That's
like,
epic, man.
Like,
yeah, that's
listen,
great stuff.
As a kid, yeah, that's great.
Like the Bloodstone, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even cause Mike Wall was such a big part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, but I get it when you gotta follow people and amazing creators, especially in particular runs like with Cap. Big shout out to Buddy Young from the No Prize podcast and also the Old Timers comic book show. Like he gets me. Every time he laughs at me, every time I pick up a Grunwald book that I don't have, he goes, "Damn, you really fucking addicted, aren't you?" Like, yeah, I gotta finish this complete run. I'm only a few issues away from finishing his complete Captain America run.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. So yeah, I mean, this cover's done by him. This features the Monarch Crier, who's this, you know, butterfly superhero character in this Silver Age inspired world. And then yeah, we got this cover by Nathan Lorenzana, who is an amazing digital painter. He painted this, and this features
Ross.
Yeah, it is. And this features the Crane and Highness Helen, which are two new characters that are introduced.
The Crane. That made me kick you in your jaw like fucking Daniel's son. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. She's in the crane pose and everything. So yeah, these are some two badass women right here.
Oh, look at the colors on this, though. I love this.
Yeah, so that is Highness Helen again, and she's stepping on, you know, Rufus, our main character in the real world story. So it's kind of this, you know, this marriage of fantasy and reality, kind of showing these characters interact with the butterfly wings on fire and sliced through. You know, it's kind of a a symbol for, you know, her destroying the Monarch Crier and coming for Rufus now.
I mean, I do love the art in the book. I mean, you keep it so retro, the story, the way that it feels.
Yeah.
So, yo, bro, I mean, thank you. You gave me a feel of traditional comic books again.
Oh, thank you. No, that means a lot to me. I mean, I feel like it's kind of, I love, you know, what's coming out now. I still do, but there's something about reading an old Silver Age or Bronze Age book, and with all the narration and thought bubbles and all of the like work that went into orchestrating those types of comics back then, and they didn't even know if, you know, if they would be around, right? Like they didn't even know like how popular these things were. They just did it because they could, and they believed in the stories that they were making. Yeah, it's so it's bizarre.
It's because they could, not because they wanted to be famous. So
yeah, not because they wanted to write Spider-Man, right? Like people now are like, oh, I want to write Spider-Man, but back then it was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll take him, you know, like.
Isn't that beautiful though? I mean, that's why
it is.
Because it came from a place of real creation.
They were making history, and we're looking back as, you know, as history, but they were making it.
Preach,
you know?
Preach. Because this is what I'm saying is they were writing just to create stories, not about the fandom, but they wanted to show how dope their skill was.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like, oh, I want this that kind of character because I want to show you how I could flip the character. No, wrong formula, guys.
Right.
You know, right, because you love the character and like really bring something different, but not because you want to be different, but rather because you're really going to bring value.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between being different and bringing value.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? For real. But Manchild brings it all. I mean, I can't wait to read issue 3. I mean, look at this. What the fuck are you bringing to me? This is Sadistic 6? Bro, what are you doing to me right now? those 2 books again, like slice of life mixed with superhero mix up like in a Pulp Fiction fucking style. I love it. I mean, the team that you put together, how did you even find them, bro? Like, what up here?
Yeah. So the artist for the book is Jay Mazar, and he's out of California, and I think he's actually from Michigan. So he's a Midwestern, but he lives in California now, and he's an amazing illustrator. He does the pencils, inks, and colors for the book, and
oh wow,
yeah, he's worked on issues 1 and 2. And he's back for issue 3. And I found him on an old artist forum site called Digital Webbing that no longer exists. That no longer exists either, you know. So I saw he had some pinups of like Daredevil and Black Bolt and these like classic characters that I really loved, you know, these Marvel characters. And I was like, man, his style, it's really hard nowadays to find someone whose style can kind of represent that old retro feel, but still be like palatable for new readers or for current modern day comic book readers, and trying to find a style where, since we're telling these 2 stories simultaneously, that wouldn't be so jarring going from one style to the next, right? Or one story to the next, and how you can find someone who can do modern day stuff or slice of life, real life stuff, and the comedy too, with the expressions and the faces, but also do like superhero action, you know, and do it well, and, you know, do all these cool character designs and these, you know, all this stuff that we love about superhero comics. So that's where I found him. And then the letterer of the book, DC Hopkins, he's worked for Boom, IDW, Marvel, DC, Image. He's done so many different projects, and he's an amazing letterer and designer. And he designs all my books, and he's been lettering all of Manchild, and he also lettered The Fabled Offering, which is my latest book that just released. So I love working with him. He's, you know, a professional. He's very talented, and I think it comes through, you know, on the product itself, and showing both of their professionalism and how talented they are.
Hey, I mean, look at the beauty of the book that I'm showing off here, folks. I mean, the Kickstarter link is right there, but look how great the artistry, the coloring, the lettering, everything is just rocking. This is why this book is funded. I mean, and again, we got to keep getting it funded. We only got, you know, minutes to go, folks. Come on.
Yeah, we got minutes to go. It's Christmas time. It's the holiday season. You guys need indie comics, and you can get, you know, signed copies. You know, you can get something personalized, something that's like personal for your comic book fan or for you. You know, if you want like a signed edition.
Your loved one. It is Christmas. A great stocking stuffer because again, listen, for the comic fan in your life, the reader in your life, put them onto something different. And if you want different, there's nothing better than in the world.
Or maybe you have that comic book reader who hasn't been into comics for a while, but like grew up reading, you know, like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and a lot of the old like Silver Age. Yeah, like you know, make them feel like a kid again this Christmas, right? Like that would be so cool.
No lie, Nandor is not bullshitting you folks. Let me put the link up again. That link right there. He's not lying. It is so retro feeling. The names that are there, you know what he means. And you read again, it's a tribute. And it's like a beautiful tribute, but it's fun. And I laughed several times, to be honest. I'm like, I laughed out loud. I'm like, all right. Nandor, you're a fucking comedian right here. Like I laughed several times out loud. I'm like, all right, this is great. And I love when a book or anything makes me feel happy or just fucking, you know, like smirk, laugh out loud. Like, yo, you're doing your job. And just for that, it is just worth it. And folks, you know, when I talk about that, talking about worth it, let's get started here, folks. You want a PDF, a nice PDF, get started for as low as $5, right? But then, you know, you want to get a physical copy of a beautiful independent book that's good. Listen, this could be something even bigger. Trust me. These are the IPs that you want to get involved with. Marvel and DC, nice and all, but those already established and whatever happens. But these are new IPs, and I think that things are going to happen that are much bigger here. So you can get started for $10 on something you can smell the ink, you know, and when it becomes a movie, a TV show, son, so you want to only go more in value, you know. You get special covers, you know what I mean, at 15, even more special covers at 20, even crazier covers at 25, you know what I mean? Like, go for it. And my man even got retailers, so my comic shops, my LCSs, really important for you, support independent comics. My man got a pack right here, 5 books, 25 beans, and you already saw the price point. Like, you can make money here. Don't be bullshitting me. But even if you make money, stock yourselves with community, with independent creators like Nandor that got some beautiful books. I'm telling you, this is fire. You get, you know, a whole physical bundle for 30 beans. Get that whole story. You know, start filling up your combo boxes with that. You know, collector's editions. My man thought of everything. He got it all 5 covers. If you're a super collector, look at that. And yo, wait a minute. I see 5 covers, but what is that big ass picture right there, yo? Whoa.
Yeah, that is our gatefold cover. So you know, like X-Men #1, you know, like where you fold it out. Yeah, so it's gonna be a fold out cover for that issue. So yeah.
Who did that? That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that's done by Benjamin W. Morse. He's another independent creator who's worked on books like We Are Scarlet Twilight and August Purgatory Underground. He's an amazing artist. And yeah, I wanted to do something special for this campaign. And I wanted to do something in honor and spirit of comic book fandom. And so that is a gatefold cover that you can get that folds out, and, you know, it'll feature all of the Sadistic Six charging towards Monarch Crier.
Yeah, and I'm really sad. Yo, bro, no one has backed this. But listen, folks, with the time that is left, this is the greatest Christmas present you can give the loved one in your life. Imagine having them be drawn into the comic.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Only a book
immortalized.
Yeah. They'll be in the book. Like when you don't even tell them, man, you put it in there. And then they see themselves like, yo, why this homie look like me? Hey, let's go, mi ente. Support independent comic. That's and in presents. It's Christmas time coming. Come on. Or maybe anniversary. Whatever it is, like, yo, this is it. That's a great gift. Let me tell you that much. Then you can get original art, like those pages. you would get those, you know. But the early birds is the early birds, and how dare you guys? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, but I'm already happy that it's funded though. So the most important part of this campaign is that it is funded. But folks, we gotta fund more. We need more than 45. Let me refresh while we've been talking. Did anyone comment? Come on, guys. Are we still 71 minutes to go, baby? Come on, we gotta make it. It's still at 45.80. How dare you during the show not try to make it rain? So make it rain on my big homie right here. This project is beautiful. I'm telling you guys, superhero, slice of life, fun, will make you laugh. I mean, it'll keep you entertained, and it has such a retro, but then also modern feel. So I love the mix of how you really kind of went the direction you took, Nando. Like, yo, bro, this book is fire. As an OG comic book fan, you're doing something special here. So thank you. Now,
thank you, Al.
So 2 last questions before we go. I mean, I know we're coming up to the end of the year. There's only a few shows left out there. Yeah. You do any comic conventions for the rest of this year?
No, I'm tapped out for the rest of the year. I'm going to be hunkered down, with the holidays coming up and spending time with family and with the winter weather, and travel and everything. So
spend time with that family. That's the most important thing in life.
Yeah.
You see, folks, what a great creator he is. It's about his family and all. That's why you gotta support people like this. They're the real deal, man. The real deal.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative of, I mean, I wouldn't be here without my family, and I wouldn't be, making and the support that I've gotten from friends and family making comics. And so, it's such a big part of who I am and why I want to do this. And I want to make them proud and, let them know that, hey, I'm working on things. I'm continuing to work on things. And, next year, though, when it comes to cons, I'm hoping to, maybe hit C2E2 again, hit some other bigger shows would be amazing. So that's
what I want to go to C2E2 again, of course, because I think that's the plan for Heroic Awards, and if we're going to do that, let me go and pimp you for a couple of hours. I'll pimp you so hard that you're gonna want to give me 10%.
Yeah.
Anyway, Scorpio P.O. Good to hear you got funded. He backed 1-3 bundle a few weeks ago. So we have
awesome. Thank you, man.
An actual person here that put in. So thank you so much, Scorpio. You rock, man, Scorpio P.O. Like that's what we need. We gotta support my people like that. You know how great the story is. Make sure to tell your friends that way they could get this for their favorite people that love comics.
Yeah, so only like an hour left, guys. Like this is it. This is
it, baby. There you go. Thumbs up, baby. That's where you go. Scorpio P.O. Let's go. Love you, brother. Thank you, sis. Whatever. So now, I don't want to assume nowadays. so then they'll talk to me. Last words here, like based on your journey so far in comics, what type of advice would you give to new creators coming into the game?
So I think for new creators, it's really important to manage your expectations and be careful on how much you're putting out in your work-life balance and managing those expectations of your first book or your first couple of books, and realizing that even though you're putting in a lot of time and effort and energy into it that you may not see rewarded right away, that will come. Like it's about putting in the time and the energy now, and you'll reap that reward later on. And so like a lot of the times, and I still feel very even though this is my 9th crowdfunding campain, this will be my 7th book.
Oh my God, 9th.
Yeah, so I've been I've been doing
salute.
I've been doing this a while, but there's always those moments and those times where I can remember what it's like putting out your first book and putting out your first couple of books and being really anxious and worried about a project funding or just getting it off the ground, finding an artist and all those types of things. And I think it's just really important for people to take their time and realize that it is about the quality of the work more so than the window dressing of the work, or the work itself. The pitch is important in making a product that people want to purchase and buy, but you're gonna get more bang for your buck and more return on that if the work itself is quality and if it's good, because that's how you get your returning customer. People are happy to take a chance on you, but making them take 2 chances, 3 chances, 4 chances, that's where the work really comes in, and that's how you're going to actually be able to keep that coming. So if you're way too focused on how it looks or what other people are doing, it's important to and there's value in learning how things are done, and when it comes to promotion and marketing and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, all of that really means nothing if the work itself isn't the priority, if the quality of the work isn't the priority, because then it's just all, it's all fluff. It's, there's nothing stable and substantial about what you're doing. So, make that the priority, make the work the priority. Yes. And then when you're ready to switch gears, that's when it's time, because you are your biggest fan. You're the one, if the work is good and you're proud of it, that's going to show up when you're talking about it and when you're pitching it and when you're trying to promote it and let people know about it. So if you're not confident in your work, in the work itself, it's going to show. And there are things you can do to overcome that, and I know a lot of people feel shy, like we were talking about, and talking about their stuff. And I've been doing this a while, so it's a lot easier now. But I remember at the start trying to talk about my comics and show my comics to people. And the thing that always would get me in the door was when I was at cons or doing author signings, the work itself, the book itself, would bring people to the table, and you hand the book to the person, the customer. It's the quality of the work that's going to be your foot in the door and getting them to buy it. Because then you can talk about it, and then you can kind of see in their eyes, they're excited about it, or they want to talk about it. And so if you're the writer or the artist or both or whatever, if you focus on that, everything else about it, I think, will be a little bit easier.
There we go. Folks, you hear this, man? He's telling you the truth. So listen to these words. Take them into consideration. This is my man. So before we go, lastly, this is what you got to do today. The most important part. Follow Foxhole Comics newsletter, foxholecomics.substack.com. All right? Then you can follow him on his YouTube. He has the YouTube. But the links below makes it all easier. All right? Don't you worry. But most importantly, the most important part of all this is to please support the project. We only got minutes to go. Let's make it rain, because currently is at $45.80 of a $4,400 goal. But if you go to the Kickstarter project, Manchild, issues 1 through 3, 70 extra plus pages of adventure superhero goodness. And let me tell you, it is fun. It's slice of life. You guys will be extremely entertained. This is the book you guys gotta get right now. Nando, thank you so much for your time today, yo. I absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for your help with Heroic Cons. Thank you for this. Thank you for keeping comics real. Thank you for making comics fun. Because let me tell you, 1 and 2 are fire, and I can't wait to read number 3, baby.
Yeah, man. Sounds great.
So let's go. And with that, you know what it is. Follow Comic Crusaders everywhere. Follow my big homie. All the links are below. Hasta la próxima. Wepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. Please subscribe and turn on notifications. Please subscribe. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com. Also, please visit Comic Podcast Family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.